I'm working on the 72 Gran Torino. Replaced the voltage regulator and the harness going to the voltage regulator. And let me show you that real quick. Harness was kind of frayed. I also replaced, I haven't put a nut on it yet, but the wire for the starter on here, this was all frayed up, and I replaced that. And you can see here, there's a new voltage regulator, brand new harness going to it. So by replacing that, first time I've ever seen lights come on. So both high beam and low beam are on this side. On this side I got nothing. Might be the bulbs. Looks like one of them's trying to come on, I can't tell. But the interior light comes on when I turn the lights on. This running light's not on. So interior light comes on. The actual light for the shifter is on. I got a light behind the dash on right there. No radio. Wipers came on. And let's see what else. I think I have a running light on this side on. Yeah, that one's on. And that one's on. I don't have any lights plugged in the back. You can see the harness is just hanging. I don't have them plugged in. But some motivation for me to keep moving on here. Right now I don't have a battery on the car. I just have a jump box just to test power. But I just wanted to give an update on the Torino. I had swapped out the motor mounts to the upper half motor mount only. So basically this motor mount here is the ones I had on before, but if you look at this part, I'm hitting with my thumb, the part that's on there now is basically a motor mount that's just this, that bolts directly into the block without this upper part. But it sits way too low. It sits way too low. Holes don't line up. It's sitting on the oil pan. So I'm going to go back to these mounts instead of this mount. There's another one right here that's similar to that one right there that's on the car. So this just bolts up to the engine, the two up top and the one on the bottom, and this sits right there on that cross member, but it is not going. Yes, I'm not gonna use this one here either because it just doesn't line up. So what I'd like to do is lift the motor up, swap it back out to these motor mounts that sat the engine up higher. That it looks like I can fit the headers easier. It's just that on the back, I don't have the transmission on the engine right now, but on the back it just seemed like it was too high for the transmission. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to swap the motor mounts back out, bolt up the torque converter and the transmission, and then re-drop the engine in with transmission and see how she sits. If she sits good and bolts up, then I am going to call it good, and hopefully the headers will line up. And if not, we'll see what we can do. So I just wanted to show you the motor mounts. This motor mount was original to this engine. I bought new motor mounts that are basically the same. They line right up, bolt up the same way, same thing. But these made it sit too low. So I went with a newer style that lifts it up about maybe 2 inches. So you can see the way these line up. The way this one lines up, it basically lifts up the engine about maybe 2 inches more, maybe 3. So I'm going to put these back on because the engine actually sat better, didn't sit on the oil pan like it just was. I had re-drilled holes in the cross member down here for it to sit better with this little pin right here. I'll show you if I can get it in here real quick. The engine's kind of in the way, but yeah, like that. So that's the way that would sit. Like that. It sits near the bolt. The hole goes through the frame and bolts up to the engine. So I'm going to mount these back up on the engine. But after I pull the engine out and put the torque converter on and put the transmission on the back, having an issue with the torque converter right now. The torque converter, brand new high stall torque converter, came with a one of the 4 studs and it was stripped, so I have to chase it. It's a 3/8 by 24 thread, so I got to go buy a die, or a tap rather, to clean up those threads so I can put that torque converter on. It's inside this box right here. Torque converter's right here, so I got to retap it, just the 1 stud, and then bolt it on. So I put the motor mounts back on, the ones that make it sit up a little bit higher. A lot more room for clearance here for headers, as you can see. The only issue I see on this side is the heater box on that back tube right there. So I'm gonna take a look at that back here, but should be okay. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull the motor back out, all the way out, mount the torque converter after I tap that 1 stud that's screwed up, mount that torque converter up, mount the training back up, and then drop everything in. If it looks like it fits good, we're gonna leave it. I was concerned originally about the clearance of the hood, but this is a Cobra Jet with the ram air hood. It's got the cutout from the factory in it, and I really think we're gonna be fine for clearance with the top of the carburetor and air cleaner. So should be good to go. I do have a high-rise intake, but I'm hoping we're good to go. Really don't want to have to swap to a lower intake because I like that intake, but we'll see. Alright, thanks for watching. If you have any suggestions on the motor mounts or anything like that, I'm all ears. Thank you.